Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, October 1st edition of the Sacred News and Weather. October is my birthday month, so you can look forward to a few giveaways for some energy attunements and one-to-one coaching this month. As a thank you, I like to practice the art of giving for my birthday, and I'm getting better at receiving, as I tell you all to work on receiving as well. Yeah, but I will be giving a few things away this month in honor of my birthday. I am a quadruple Libra, Libra Sun, Libra Moon, Libra Venus, Libra Mars. I got a big old stellium in my chart, and pretty much the only thing binding me to the earth is my Capricorn rising, which makes me a delightful workaholic Rex. And I'm here today in between clients, and I'm going to be off and running here soon. So I'm going to try and be as succinct and complete as I can possibly be. But I do have a couple of announcements in addition to a few freebies that you can look forward to this month. You might have noticed that I will be hosting starting next week, next Thursday, October 9th, and running through December 18th, every other Thursday. I'll be hosting the Unlikely Biblical Book Club, where we will be unpacking the Gospels of the Beloved Companion and the canonical Gospel of John side by side with a mystical, historical, divine, feminine, and all the weird things that come through me lens. Why am I doing this? Part of me is like, I have no idea, but that's not true. I, you know, I sometimes marvel at the direction in which my life is driving itself. I feel like sometimes my only job is to sit back and say, okay, where am I going? And this is where I'm going. But it is actually the answer to a direct ask from some of the members of my Earth and Ether collective, where I often bring scripture if it comes forward. It doesn't, I don't usually set out to bring it to anyone, but sometimes it comes forward in what we're talking about. And I tend to unpack it in a way that most people have never thought about it or don't think about it because we're not taught the gospel from the perspective of Christ and Mary Magdalene were a couple and they were two halves of the Messiah. There's no masculine Messiah without a feminine Messiah in Jewish mysticism. And they are, in my humble opinion, the ultimate representatives of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there's a social justice lens, there is a divine feminine lens, and there is a, hey, how do we directly connect with God, the divine, with our highest self without having to use a parish priest, a ruler, a president, a dictator, a an emperor. How do we do that? And why did they not tell us that that's exactly what Christ was trying to teach us to do? So, if that piques your interest, I would love to have you. If you have any questions, please ping me and ask away. I'm happy to answer them for you before we get started. And the second announcement I have to make is that we are going on retreat. This is an in-person retreat, and it is the first weekend in December. December 4th, it's a Thursday, through December 7th, it's a Sunday. So 3 nights and 4 days of me and two of my dear ones, my co-facilitator Jason Cousson and my very dear one Eden St. Clair, who is also the co-host of my Earth and Ether collective. And I'm going to be talking more about that in the coming weeks. You do have a little while before you need to sign up for that, but I do want to say right now there's a fairly significant discount if you sign up before, I believe, October 4th. We might have said October 5th for a nicer number, but if you sign up to come retreat with us, you'll get, I think it's about a $500 discount to be an early bird. So come and hang out with us. This is, I think, the 6th year that I'm hosting a fall. This is kind of a pseudo winter retreat, and we're going to be focusing on really learning how to empty and get really, really still and to not be afraid of that which comes forward in our stillness. So, we're going to be using all of the lenses that I typically use, which are the chakras or the tree of life or the sacraments, or insert your language here and your knowing here for the energy centers that move through our body. There are 7 of them. There are many more chakras, by the way, but these are the ones that I'll be working with. And we're going to work from root to crown, just really focusing on emptying and getting still and getting quiet and being able to hold ourselves empty and spacious to see what wants to come. Because in general, we're really bad at, if we get really empty, we're really bad at allowing ourselves to stay empty. We like to fill the empty spaces in us if we ever dare to empty them. So we're going to learn how to empty, and we're going to learn how to be, and we're going to learn how to fill ourselves with that which we desire, rather that which we are wounded from or society thinks we should desire. So that's the basic framework of what we're going to be talking about there. We're going to be using holotropic breath work, meditation, movement, meditation in nature. I have a few surprises, and there's a sound healing. We're going to do a sound bath, and then I have a few things that I'm not going to talk about because they're new this year, and I kind of want to surprise my regulars. I have had now probably a group of 6 different humans who have joined me in every retreat that I've ever done, and I would love to have you add to that group. There are 12 spots this year, and I do anticipate that they're all going to fill up. So if you are interested, come in. I'm going to post both links below in my introductions. Okay, that is enough talk, and I'm going to look at the time so that I know. I might timestamp where I'm actually getting started. So if you want to move right into the message, you can do that. We'll see if I get there. All right. With no further ado, I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm just going to take 3 deep breaths, and I'm going to invite you to do that with me. On the first breath, we're going to call all of our energy back into some area of our body where it wants to be. Generally, when we're calling our energy back, it usually wants to land somewhere between our heart and our pelvic bowl. So your pelvic bowl, your lower dantian, which is about 2 or 3 finger breaths below your belly button at the center of your body. This is your loving life force center. This is your chi center. Often our energy wants to come back here. You also have your solar plexus and then your heart. So wherever in your body, and you don't need to know which part it is, but I want you to feel into your body and see where your energy wants to return itself to. And you can trust yourself to call everything back, knowing that that which is not for you is going to stay away. It's not coming. Only that which is for you is going to come when you inhale and call it in with your breath. On your second breath, we are going to connect with spirit, with the divine, with the highest version of yourself. By the highest version of yourself, I mean the parts of you that come without wounding, that come without the patterns, that come without the toxic behaviors, the parts of you that are living in alignment with who your soul is, who you desire to be. That's who I'm talking about, in case you need a little help there. And on the third deep breath, we're just going to call in any little bit or great large chunk of gratitude that you can find. So, and on your exhales, you're just going to let everything go, trusting that anything that you release on your exhale will come back to you if it is in fact meant for you. We cannot lose that which is meant for us, and we cannot possibly give it away. So, all right, moving quickly. Here we go. First deep breath in. We're going to call all of our parts and particles back. Exhale and release. Second inhale, we're going to connect with our highest self, with our divinity, with God, with spirit. Insert your desired point of connectivity here. And exhaling and releasing. And last deep breath. Find that gratitude, no matter how small, no matter how large. Call it all the way in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Great. And just a little reminder, as with all of these messages, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. And these messages are timeless. So whether you're tuning in real time or connecting with me years, months, weeks, hours later, trust that when you're tuning in, there is likely going to be something in here for you, which is why you were drawn in the first place. So today's message is going to come with a small soundtrack, just one song. And I decided I liked that format. So if a song is coming, I think I'm going to give you the clip. And that is Lucinda Williams. You took my joy and I want it back. I think the song is called Joy. But it's from the Car Wheels on a Gravel Road album, which is an incredible album. If you don't know it, go and listen to it. But yeah, you took my joy and I want it back. And the feeling was that in saying this, in feeling this, in singing this, and hearing these lyrics, there was this desire first to like be accusatory, to like bring your dagger eyes at someone. You took my joy and I want it back, or something, some government, some president, but that's maybe a little too much for you to know about my personal politics. But there was a feeling of wanting to turn that outward. You took my joy and I want it back. But we're actually being invited to look in the mirror. You took my joy and I want it back. And that can be hard, especially if you are someone accustomed to really identifying strongly with your own victimhood. And part of being a beautiful, perfect, messy human is that we often are quick to turn into our own victimhood. I I will share this with you because I just saw it now. Just got a little nudge about it. But, one of the reasons I believe that I am just now, about to finish my first book has to do with, it's actually my second book, but that's another story entirely. The book that I started writing when I was trying to get pregnant with Jonah, about 12 years ago now. One of the reasons I put it down was because I recognized that I had really left behind so many of those stories. I had healed so much of myself by the time I started writing again that I was like, ugh, I don't even want to look at this part of my life, at these parts of my life, because I was so like really embodied in my own victimhood. And I left that embodiment behind. I have since come to realize and recognize that it's probably pretty important that y'all know where I came from and that it is possible to move all the way through the victimhood to the other side, which is unconditional love of all of my parts and all of my experiences, and the power that comes from really being able to offer all of ourselves and all of our perpetrators. The one perpetrator who usually does the most damage, of course, is our own ego, our own minds, our own judgment of our own self. But our strength, our power, our next timeline, the highest version of ourselves really comes from stepping fully out of the victimhood identity and fully into that truth that all of our parts, even the stinkiest parts, deserve love. And I feel like that is really where we're going today. What I heard in You Took My Joy and I Want It Back is this desire to really reclaim our joy and the recognition that the only way that we are going to do so. And I just heard for some of you, it's not even a reclamation, it is a like first time declaration and like finding and true knowing of your own joy. Now, I say that I don't necessarily believe it because I know that when you entered into this world, there was, I mean, we do inherit literally as soon as we are birthed into the world, and arguably as we are in the wombs of the ones who birthed us, whether that is the person who raised you or not, when we are in that germination space, when we are growing and when we are born, we are already inheriting our ancestral storylines. We're already inheriting our family storylines, but our joy, our soul's joy is inherent and it is always there and it is always available to us. But some of you have never even allowed yourself to tap into that joy for even just a moment because you're so enmeshed, engulfed, overwhelmed, steeped in your own shame and judgment of self. And we're really, really being deeply invited into this place of letting go of all of the shame, of all of the guilt, of all of the stories that keep you in a state of not joy, that keep you in a state of not love, that keep you from I just heard writing the book from being there's an element of being seen with that mirror image of like you took my joy where like you want to go outward but we're actually looking at ourselves in the mirror. There's this image of being fully seen in who you are, in your power. There's a feeling of your of being kept from your talents and your abilities and your soul's work. There's a feeling of being kept from or keeping yourself from love, from true deep love, because of all of these feelings of shame and guilt and unworthiness that have like just piled on and piled on and piled on. And rather than looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the truth of who you are, the beauty underneath all of those things that you have piled on your back, all that you've heaped on yourself, or looking outward at all of the people who did this to you, all of the ways that you were wronged, all of the stupid shit that happened along the way that kept you from like all of those storylines. We are being invited to let them all go. And the image that I have is like there's a couple. There's a little bit of a Russian doll, like of the stacking dolls or the hiding dolls that you open and open and open and peel back the layer, and you get to the finally to the one where there's nothing left to peel back. But the image that I have is it's somewhere between that, and I see a figure like almost like a really scrawny figure, but scrawny not because scrawny because they're undernourished with love, like scrawny in love, like a little like almost like a rubber chicken human with all of these coats on top of him or her. I'm not seeing a gender, and I don't think it matters one way or the other, but it's like all of these coats, like the weight of all of these coats, like having this being hunched over and like you may pull one off, but then you put on another, and then you take a couple off and you add four more, and then you add some blankets on top. And there's this feeling of shedding, of like peeling off these coats and getting to like the scrawny little chicken in the mirror and being like, oh shit, is this all there is? This is my joy. And it's like this sort of wan, thin, scrawny little rubber chicken in the mirror. And it's like, if that's what you're starting with, if all you've got in the mirror, and I just heard, what about the fat slob? And I'm like, I don't know whose voice that is, but yeah, that you might be seeing yourself that way too. And either way, it's judgment and it's wrong. You don't, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I was going to say, you don't get to judge yourself, but that's like me, Mama Bear, saying, stop judging yourself. Don't do it anymore. You can do what you choose, of course, but you are being invited to look in the mirror and see the beautiful human that actually exists there, the human without the burden of the shame and the judgment and like the like the ick. That's the only word that wants to come. It's the one that like kind of makes your skin crawl. It gives me the shivers a little bit, that feeling of like, ugh, I've done something wrong. And that feeling that I'm getting, the ick feeling that I'm getting, is actually one, like, I just got a really clear image from my childhood. So maybe there's something there for you as well, like that feeling of being a kid and knowing that you did something wrong by the reactions of all of those around you, but not really knowing what it is and just having that sort of shivery, I want to collapse into myself feeling, and I want to like check out of my own body. That feeling just came through. And that is what we're being invited to let go of. Though in the case of that child, in the case of like I can see myself as I was probably a 5 or 6 year old little girl. And I was sitting on my grandmother's bedroom floor and I knew I was in trouble, but I didn't know why. But by the adults around me, I knew that I had done something wrong. I know what that moment was, but I'm not going to detract from your story here by sharing mine. In that situation, if you're finding yourself feeling a little child here, like I want you to go to that little child and let him or her know that they're not doing anything wrong. It is the adults around them and their response that is actually the problem. And what should have been happening in that moment is what you're going to offer that small child right now, which is somebody should hold you. Somebody should love that little child, and somebody needs to let that little child know. And in this case, that somebody is you, that they are exactly perfect, that we learn as humans, whether we're little kids or adults, we learn by doing things and making mistakes. If we moved through life having never made a mistake, well, first of all, that would be absolutely impossible. But also, like, you would never grow, you would never change, you would never move, you would never be motivated into something better. We fuck everything up so that we can learn and make it better. And so for some of you, you're being invited to come out of that shivery little shadow of the I have fucked everything up and I am not worthy of anything. And remembering right now that you didn't fuck everything up. You're still alive, you're still here, and every minute is an opportunity to get yourself a little closer to love, a little closer to what you desire, a little closer to who you are meant to be, who you were always meant to be. And it's just our messy humans that have made these mistakes, but those mistakes have been in the name of getting you to this place where you realize, oh, I'm ready for, I desire something more than all of these coats stacked on top of me, weighing me down. I desire and I deserve and I'm worthy of being seen. My art is worthy of being seen. My words are worthy of being read. My face is worthy of being seen. I am worthy of receiving love. I am capable of giving love. There's an invitation to look in the mirror and take back your joy and recognize that in this next moment, we're being invited to choose something different for ourselves to bring us a little bit closer to our own joy. I'm going to take a look at my notes. Yeah, it's the bigger concept, the more esoteric concept here is really stepping out of shame and into your own divinity. We are being invited into to embody our own divinity. And when I tell you that you are a divine being, no matter how much you have fucked up your life or think you fucked up your life, you are divine. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of abundance. You are worthy of anything that you set your desire on that is in alignment with your soul's work in the world. And so I'm not talking about like, I want $6 million and I want to take it from these people. I'm not talking about abundance. I'm not talking about anything that is extractive. I'm not talking about extractive love. I'm not talking about extractive abundance. I'm not talking about extractive power. I'm talking about our inherent power. I'm talking about the power that comes from within when we know that we are all stronger together. I'm talking about the love that moves through us when we recognize that we are not better than another. We are no more or less worthy than another, but we are, when we are in love, when we are in our power, when we are in our full divinity, all of those around us benefit. That is what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about anything extractive here, and I hope I'm making myself clear there. The last piece is a reminder that every one of us has a seed of worthiness inside of us, our seed of divinity inside of us. And some of us, that seed has been, like, again, buried and layered in all of these cloaks and all of these coats. It's just been buried and it hasn't been allowed to sprout through that shell. And I just want to remind you that that seed is in you and you get to release your past. You get to release your shit. You get to forgive yourself of the mistakes that you've made. You're being invited to forgive others. Again, not for them. You don't need to forgive anyone for them and for anything that they've done for them. You don't need to let anyone off the hook, but you do want to get to the point of enough forgiveness where you yourself are free from the burden of having to carry the poison of angst, of anger, of ire at another. So that's what I'm talking about when I invite you into forgiving another. It's not about forgetting wrongdoing and forgetting anything. It's about really releasing any poison that you might be carrying inside of yourself, whether you're poisoning yourself around yourself or poisoning yourself around your lack of forgiveness for another. Just being invited into removing that next layer to wherever you are able to right now. Because I also recognize that in suggesting you forgive someone, that might send you into another shame spiral if you are not able to do that. So know that in your beloved humanity and our messy humanity, we are all doing the best with what we have in any given moment. But if you're looking for more joy and you're worthy of more joy, you're being invited to look in the mirror and remember your own magic. Remember your own love. Remember your own divinity. that's what I have for you today. Happy Wednesday. I'll see you on Friday.